All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Tokenicer, and I'm here to bring you guys in-depth analysis, news, and insights from the digital asset space, along with covering the progressive tokenization of the world. And if you haven't already, be sure to follow the Instagram and Twitter to stay up to date, and check out the Medium and Spotify for more fundamental content just like this. So in today's video, we're going to be breaking down a project in the space that's not only working to be the most regulated exchange out there, but also be right at the center for the tokenization of everything, from cars to homes to movies and even diamonds. And they're really looking to be the exchange for institutions with some of the most professional white glove services, along with some really unique approaches to their community incentives and ecosystem. But before we get started, I just got to remind everyone again that I'm not a financial advisor, and therefore nothing you ever hear or read from me should ever be taken as financial advice. But now that we got that out of the way, let's get right into it. So the project we're going to be breaking down today is LCX, Liechtenstein Crypto Asset Exchange. And as I said before, they're the most regulated exchange out there with 8 licenses and counting. So LCX is another one of these next generation exchanges, right up there with Unison and Lattice. And what makes them so revolutionary compared to your usual exchanges is not just how compliant they're taking things. Because, well, an exchange could be compliant, but still kind of suck overall because they got nothing else unique to offer. Well, what LCX offers is the tokenization of assets directly on their platform for these institutions. And what that means for us retail clients is that we get to invest and take part in these regulated security tokens and all these other tokenized assets that they're going to offer that normally would be sort of scratching the gray area for being an unregistered security and thus facing a bunch of major regulatory burden. So the approach LCX has taken to this is, instead of walking on the tightrope between compliant and non-compliant when it comes to such gray area things like this, they've decided, all right, well, our choice is either to hope we don't face securities compliance laws and just launch all these security tokens as they are, or we could spend a few years building out our legal team and framework, and then not only would we not have to worry about compliance anymore, but we would have a huge advantage over everyone else in the market, especially once regulations kick in. Now, I should also quickly go over how the whole vision behind LCX and the company was formed. So this was back in 2013, and the LCX founder and CEO, Monty Metzger, had been pretty early to see the huge changes in our future that blockchain and distributed ledgers would have. And at that time, he was running a VC firm, Digital Leader Ventures. And of course, at the time, there was no regulatory framework whatsoever for these institutions to come in and invest in these markets. And obviously, Monty was a little bit frustrated from that. But instead of complaining and sulking, he decided to take the initiative and build out that regulatory framework himself, building out an infrastructure for these institutions to securely be able to take part in the growth of this asset class, all while still making sure they're following the proper KYC and AML laws, and making sure there's no manipulation or wash trading, while also ensuring clients all around the world are following regulations that are relative to their jurisdictions. But Monty also wanted to incorporate some of the changes that this digital asset space was going to bring to the financial world, and specifically the tokenization of assets, because with tokenized assets, not only do you get instant settlements on any security or asset, but it brings the globally economic inclusion aspects to anyone in the world, regardless of their financial status. They can come in and participate in this digital asset ecosystem. So they've really gone out and not just built the legal framework for institutions to safely invest in this market, but they've even built a whole business model around tokenization of assets through their LCX Launchpad, where they're basically going to manage and take care of any asset tokenization that institutions and corporations are going to want to do in a way where they can legally be offered as a compliant security token. So this pretty much covers from the moment an institution applies to tokenize an asset all the way to where it's in the retail investors' wallets. So from the legal, technical, and financial side of things, it's all covered by LCX. The institutions just gotta pay the listing, or I guess tokenization fee in this case, and have their documents ready, and it's all taken care of. And this is gonna be massive because not only is the concept of tokenization huge for all the industries that make up our global economy, not just finance, but it's also very unlikely we're just going to see these companies that want to tokenize their assets go on OpenSea and just mint it as an NFT, or just mint their own ERC20 tokens or something. It's going to be things like these white glove services that LCX and Alliance Block are offering, where they need it not only to be regulated, but in a sense also reliant through an issuer. So some of the things included in here would be like making sure the company is compliant and legally able to offer this as a security token, then making sure all the clients that want to participate are also in countries that allow them to, then to actually manage the sales and distribution of these tokens, along with the technical side of things, like having a real cap table of the token distribution and token holder registry. And so users that are able to still follow compliance and invest in these security tokens then can get early access to sales paid out through LCX tokens. So yeah, it's a very professional service, and I think this will be one of the key factors that really are going to make LCX one of the top exchanges in the coming years once we see more regulations and standards taking place. And while we're on the whole topic of white glove services, let's just go over some of the other things that LCX offers that would be really attractive for these institutions that want to come into this space. Firstly, there's their trading terminal. And you're going to notice that with a lot of these next generation exchanges out there, a terminal pretty much is an exchange module that's got multiple exchanges built into them. So now you don't got to hop from one exchange to another just because there's different trading pairs, or for just overall more liquidity. So now you can easily just choose what exchange you want to trade on and access that right on LCX's terminal. And so to make the experience even more smooth for their clients, they're even going to integrate stuff like a news desk, a place to do some technical analysis, and then an aggregated portfolio for all your connected exchanges, along with social and sentiment signals. So that's going to be what really gives these institutions that collected and organized, sophisticated interface that they're going to want, and they've been used to all these years in the legacy markets. Because if these institutions and wealth managers are handling thousands of clients' funds, they're not going to want to open multiple MetaMask wallets and swap or provide liquidity that way. Could you imagine the mess it'd be to keep track of every client's funds? So they're going to have an easy display for all that. So maybe some of their lower risk clients, they could allocate to a stablecoin liquidity providing pool that they can easily keep track of right on the front terminal interface. And then for their higher risk clients, maybe they allocate them into some higher yield staking plays. And again, all this is shown in one display along with the entire portfolio right on their terminal. So they've got a free model for this feature and a subscription model. In the free feature, you'll only be able to connect up to 3 exchanges, but then you could upgrade it to the pro version for $290 a month or $2,900 on the year, where you can connect all of their exchanges to the terminal, and that fee can only be paid in LCX tokens. Now, that might sound like a pretty small feature in the grand scheme of things, but again, think of this from a hedge fund's perspective, or any other institution that manages hundreds of clients' funds. This is going to be huge with just organizing and keeping track of ownership beyond just on the blockchain. So beyond just a centralized exchange terminal, much like many of these next generation exchanges and next generation DeFi projects out there have got, they've also got a DeFi terminal. They've named this Fire Salamander DEX. So what does this do? Well, basically the same thing that their normal terminal did, only now it's for DeFi. So decentralized exchanges and stuff along those lines. And it basically aggregates trades across multiple chains and automated market makers to get you the best price with the least amount of slippage for your trades without having to search through all these exchanges thanks to their smart order routing implementation. So as we see here, super clean UI with everything easily displayed. We got the dashboard displaying our portfolio, Now, obviously, I just made a new wallet for the sake of this video, so it shows nothing in here. But then here we can see they've got some trending trades that they're showing across the exchanges that they've integrated. Up here, of course, you got your basic swaps, but then there's pro swaps for the LCX Pro members, which is going to need you to hold 10,000 LCX in your wallet to access these pro functions. But pretty much what it lets you do is things like you can set market orders with customizations to it, like the slippage tolerance, transaction time, gas fee. And then as we can see here, there's also a limit order function on Uniswap that they've sort of built as a layer 2, which I'm sure I don't really gotta explain. You just set the price you want to execute your trade at and it'll do it for you rather than having to wait and stare at the chart until it hits your target. So again, things like these are kind of made for institutions. Yes, these features are obviously also usable by us retail, and I'm looking forward to actually using their pro features and smart orders. Things like slippage tolerance, execution time, order routing, those matter to these institutions a lot more than it does for us retail, because just imagine the size of these positions these guys are going to be putting down. And then here we see a bunch of other dexes integrated in here, like where we can check the charts out for these other decentralized exchanges for potential arbitrage trades. So we got a bunch of basic swap dexes out there, like Uni, Kyber, and even Shiba. So pretty much, yeah, an all-in-one DeFi interface. Next up is the LCX Vault, which is a pretty similar service to Coinbase Custody, a service that helps institutions keep custody of their crypto assets, usually in a really secure manner. And when I'm talking about secure, I really mean secure. In fact, they've listed some of the components that make the LCX Vault so safe and secure. So at the safe in Liechtenstein, of course, to even get into the vault, you got to go through 8 eye authentications, guards that are surrounding the building 24/7, a split storage key, meaning that the keys are split into different sections and areas. So even if someone manages to get in and steal one part, they still can't get access. And all this is behind concrete reinforced blast doors. So yeah, good luck breaking into there. Now, this vault will be for custody of assets that institutions want to hold without all the responsibilities. But they'll also be using this vault for something they call quantitative market making. And basically, it's an evolution from the current automated market making system we see on most dexes. So now with quantitative market making, what users can do is deposit funds into the LCX Vault, where they'll be used to execute trades and provide liquidity for the exchange. And you can basically get paid in a daily yield for supplying them with some liquidity. So that's definitely going to be something really exciting to keep an eye out for, as it'll likely attract a lot more people onto the LCX platform. I mean, if you can get a yield paid out daily for providing one of the most secure exchanges out there liquidity, why wouldn't you? And well, while we're on the topic of safes and vaults, let's cover one of their other big accomplishments so far, and that's their launch of Tiamins. These are pretty much real-life tokenized diamonds, with each tokenized diamond actually representing and fully backed by the physical diamond that they store in the vault. And I honestly think this is one of the more creative and interesting NFT projects out there so far. Because 9 times out of 10, what do you see when you hop onto OpenSea? Well, usually pictures of cartoon animals, and if not, anime characters. And I love anime and all, but to say there's real utility and value backing those NFTs would be quite a debatable topic. So these diamonds, or well, they call them Tiamins, tokenized diamonds. They're all fully backed, and in fact, if you really wanted, you could actually head over to Liechtenstein to redeem the real diamond for the NFT. And while there's not like a whole bunch of utility and application to this, it's really one of the few things out there that are bringing tokenization to real life assets, and one of the even fewer ones doing so in a regulated way. And well, there's some more to the whole concept of Tiamins and some of the other things they've tokenized, but we'll be saving that for the deep dive that'll be coming real soon. Okay, but now let's go over what I personally believe to be the key component and the special sauce to LCX that really sets them over the top and that's their Liechtenstein protocol. Pretty much what it is a protocol that is looking to standardize the process of asset tokenization in a regulated way. So basically, it'll be a chain agnostic token standard, meaning this standard can be applied and followed by any asset being tokenized onto a blockchain. So pretty much the standard is going to have compliance and regulations coded into the core of it with certain predefined requirements built into that code. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing. This video will be covering more of that again in the deep dive, but here's a quick overview of some of the things they cover in this legal framework. So what defines a security token? The changes tokenization will have in financial markets, some of the token features of these security tokens like burns, locks, freezes, and then some of the legal framework around the KYC and offering of these tokens, along with an Ethereum Liechtenstein protocol, which essentially is just the Liechtenstein protocol integrated into Ethereum and all of the on-chain management stuff that they got to do. And while this is named the Liechtenstein protocol, the team has come out and said it's kind of just a placeholder for now since they don't really have a name for it yet. It's not really a standard that's going to be exclusive to Liechtenstein or anything. In fact, they want the standard to be globally adopted. But now that we've gone over pretty much the key components to LCX, let's go over the core team real quick. So first, the founder and CEO, Monty Metzger, as we previously mentioned. And we also talked about kind of how he found the motivation and vision to build LCX. But prior to this, he was the chairman for Digital Leader Ventures, along with also having previously worked a good 3 years as the innovations manager for BMW, along with founding Ahead of Times, which, much similar to Digital Leaders, is another investment firm that's really heavily focused on technological innovations. And on top of all this, Monty graduated from Harvard with an executive education in innovations. So changing the world is really this guy's passion. Now, perhaps the biggest game changer for LCX is the fact that Monty is not only a member of the World Economic Forum, but Monty's been to several conferences and shows and events to talk about LCX and tokenization in front of all these other board members. In fact, LCX is the only project in the space that's even listed on the World Economic Forum page. So there's a whole lot of conspiracies about this collaboration being something tied with the New World Order or Great Reset belief. And I'll be sure to go over a little more of that in the deep dive and kind of share my own opinions. But just seeing this is absolutely huge. I don't care if you love or hate what the World Economic Forum does. What we're seeing here is adoption and acceptance of this asset class and the tokenization of everything at pretty much the highest level. So the rest of the core team at LCX is actually pretty small. There's Katrina Metzger, and she's pretty much another board member for LCX. And previously, she was also another founder in Digital Leader Ventures as their managing director, along with also being a delegate at the World Economic Forum and even having previously worked at BMW too. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is Monty's wife, given the fact that they have the same last name and pretty much the same background. And then there's also Anurag Verma, who serves as LCX's Director of Technology. And he's basically got experience working in software development as a blockchain developer for the past couple years now. And then John Manella, who's their Director of America, and he first connected with most of the core team during their time at Digital Leader Ventures together, where he served as an advisor. And additionally, John's also got some experience working with quantum computing and AI, so that definitely doesn't hurt to have in their back pockets. Now, let's go on to their advisory board, because this is really where the specialty in their team lies, because their board of advisors is really first class and one of the best out there. I'd honestly put it up there near like the status of Quant's team, and I'm sure you guys know how I feel about them. First off, there's Don Tapscott. Don Tapscott is one of the most influential people in the blockchain space. He's written a book called Blockchain Revolution, how the technology behind Bitcoin is changing money, business, and the world. And that book was actually a huge part in changing the way I look at the future outcome of this digital asset space. So if you guys are curious about that, be sure to check out that book. Highly recommend it. And he's actually also got his own TED Talk about blockchain, which I think is actually the most viewed blockchain crypto related video out there today. But aside from that, he's also an adjunct professor at INSEAD, which is one of the bigger business schools around the world with locations all over the place, like from Paris, Dubai, Singapore, and a bunch of other locations. And along with this, he's also the chairman and co-founder of the Blockchain Research Institute, which is kind of like a consortium of industry leaders, policymakers, and governments that work together and try to bring a secure and innovative adoption approach to blockchain technology. So some of the companies and organizations in this consortium are like Accenture, which is one of the biggest enterprise tech companies out there. The government of Canada, don't think I really got to say too much about that. The name kind of speaks for itself. Deloitte, one of the big four accounting firms that are up there with PwC, KPMG, and Ernst & Young. And in fact, KPMG is actually in here too. And then there's also tech giants like Microsoft, NASDAQ, Tencent, and a bunch of other huge companies around the world that are all working to bring blockchain and DLT adoption to our world in a agreeable manner. And of course, LCX is in this little conglomerate too. And another one of their advisors is Jimmy Wales. And this guy's the founder of Wikipedia. Yes, I'm talking about that same Wikipedia that teachers used to always tell you to stay away from. Aside from joining a couple research and education-based consortiums, this is kind of the highlight of Jimmy's background, though I'm sure being the founder of Wikipedia does more than enough to show off someone's resume. And then there's also Yatsu, who started off his career with a huge bang being CEO of Outblaze, which is a white label service that works to develop web and social media applications. And well, who's their parent company? IBM. So he's held that position for about 20 years, from 1998 until COVID hit. But between that time, he also went on to do some other amazing things. He had also founded Animoca Brands, which is a tech company along with a venture capital based out in Hong Kong. And they basically develop a bunch of mobile apps and games, and they even worked with the notorious CryptoKitties that almost killed Ethereum back in the day. And then last but not least, let's cover Plamen Rusev, another advisor at LCX, who's the founder and CEO of The Virtual Show. And The Virtual Show was largely inspired due to the pandemic, and what The Virtual Show is pretty much a software platform to host shows either in person, a hybrid, or completely virtual. And they've actually been recognized and advocated by some of the biggest names in the world, like UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, CEO of Apple Tim Cook, the Pope, Tim Draper, the managing director for the IMF, the secretary general for the UN. So yeah, honestly, I've never even heard of The Virtual Show until I started digging into LCX. But hey, if someone who's built something of that stature that's recognized by all these people joined LCX as an advisor, I'm not going to complain. Now, prior to building The Virtual Show, Plamen has also had some pretty impressive experience at the government level, where he was a member of the EU Blockchain Observatory Forum for the past 4 years and still going strong today, along with also still currently being a Goodwill Ambassador of Bulgaria for District Affairs. And this actually makes him the first ever Goodwill Ambassador in Bulgaria and the third in the world. So yeah, the team at LCX is just absolutely ridiculous, filled with guys around the world who have had experience building out their networks and businesses to the top level. From Monty and his connections to the World Economic Forum to their board of advisors that ranges from guys like Don Tapscott's brilliant mind to having a powerhouse like Jimmy Wales, who's built the world's most renowned encyclopedia, to Yatsu's history of building out some super successful tech firms, And of course, Plamin's connections to some of the top authorities in the world, but specifically towards the EU. And well, before we dive into their partners, take a look at this. So they've got one mystery advisor on their core team that they're not revealing quite yet. Now, there's no confirmation at all as to who it could be, but I did some digging, ran some tests, and just did some general eyeballing. And well, would you look at this? It really seems like it could be Brian Armstrong when you put the pieces together. Both are clearly bald, but not really showing any signs of skin sagging or wrinkles just based on these pixels. So we can kind of get the idea that they're bald, but not someone that's old. And then the shoulder shape, broadness, and size seems to match pretty well, along with a black t-shirt, though you could really argue anyone could put on a black t-shirt, but you guys get my point. Coinbase is also working with the World Economic Forum, but not only that. LCX is the only other exchange token listed on Coinbase. And the fact they even listed LCX was pretty interesting given how small of a project it was at the time. Now factor in that they've even brought it into their Coinbase custody services. It's like, why would Coinbase, pretty much the face of crypto exchanges, list another exchange token? That seems to be contradictory to having the benefit of their business continue to grow. It's like, you don't see them listing Binance Coin or FTX token. So it really makes me think, at least, like, why Coinbase would list another exchange token, especially one that's pretty far out of the, I think, even top 200. Okay, now let's go over some of their partners. So while they are a super regulated exchange and all that, they're actually partnered with a ton of crypto networks out there. So it should really have you thinking like, something this regulated and vetted is partnering up with all these crypto companies? I really wonder why. They must be seeing something bigger. So to start off, they're partnered with Quant Network. I'll leave my breakdown of Quant Network up here for anyone looking to learn more about what they do, but this partnership is to allow overledger gateways to run on LCX and giving these interoperable capabilities to the LCX exchange. So we'll probably see integrations from other permissioned institutional blockchains connecting to LCX, like maybe Hyperledger or R3. And then maybe followed up with some payment railways being connected into the LCX ecosystem. And along with this, they're actually going to be collaborating together and doing some research and development to see the capabilities of an interoperable CBDC. And honestly, who better to do something like this? They're putting together a bunch of these great minds, from guys like Gilbert, Neil, and Andrew from Quant, with guys like Monty, Don, and Jimmy together for some research on this new era of digital money. With all these guys' connections and experience, I'm sure they've definitely got some good stuff going on in those discussions. And a close partner of Quant is Constellation Network. Again, breakdown will be up here, but this partnership between Constellation Network and LCX is going to look to use Constellation's hypergraph scalability to have on-chain trades on their centralized exchange ran on the hypergraph for quick and transparent trades. But also they're going to be providing support to the layer 0 tokens built on the hypergraph through giving them the proper legal support. Since, well, LCX has got 8 licenses in addition to literally building out a global standard framework around asset tokenization. And beyond all this, they're even looking to build a state channel to validate and trade data on their platform. So this is definitely going to be a really exciting partnership to watch as this continues to roll out, because Constellation's already got their flagship exchange Lattice, but they're still choosing to work with LCX too, since they can both benefit greatly from this. Constellation from the legal masterminds at LCX, and LCX with the solutions in scalability and security that the hypergraph can offer. And then there's Chainlink, which is like the monopoly for crypto oracles. Basically, what they do is bring in real-world data and feed it into the world of DeFi. So LCX is a registered data provider to Chainlink, giving them secured, verified, and compliant price feeds, which will greatly help with enriching and the precision of the data in DeFi. And of course, that's going to be huge to these regulated institutions in the future. And basically how this works is that LCX is able to publish the feeds of their on-chain market data to Chainlink, which can then be integrated and used by DeFi applications or enterprises or any other authorities that are dealing with crypto assets. They've also partnered with Hedera Hashgraph. As always, breakdowns up here. So what they're firstly doing in this is integrating the Liechtenstein protocol into Hedera Hashgraph so that they can easily be coded with compliance when it comes to asset tokenization on their platform. So the Liechtenstein protocol will play in perfectly with Hedera's token services, where they pretty much just mint tokens. Because now with this minting token service, there's already compliance embedded in the core right from the start with all these other things like on-chain management and ID verification. So this partnership will play hand in hand with the two working together to really build the proper, secure, and regulated infrastructure for tokenization. And the last crypto partnership we'll cover here today is VectorSpace AI. Deep dive on it up here in the top corner. So this partnership is looking to bring these smart correlation matrix datasets that VectorSpace generates from their natural language processing patterns and systems to basically work as a smart real-time thematic basket of crypto assets to be offered on LCX. So we could see like a basket that's based around the events of, say, the Fed hiking up interest rates, or maybe a basket around the event Bitcoin shatters new all-time high. And then there's, of course, some more tame thematic baskets you could do, like a basket that's revolved around a certain sector, like maybe DeFi or NFTs or interoperability or payments. And this will be the first time a crypto exchange is being offered these products by VectorSpace AI. It'll also be the first time us public will actually get to use these data sets. So it's going to be really exciting to see that launching on LCX available for us users to use. Now, as for non-crypto partners, they're more research and development focused with some alliances and stuff. So I'll save a lot of these for the deep dives to really go in depth into them, since I kind of want to keep these introductions to be a somewhat digestible amount of information. But just to drop a couple names here, we got OpenVasp, Security Token Alliance, F1 Delta, Global Digital Finance, Monerium, and a couple other crypto and legacy companies. But now let's move on over to the tokenomics of LCX. So LCX will be the core utility token on the LCX exchange, obviously. And remember, a lot of these features that LCX is offering require payments that are only payable in LCX, as we've mentioned. So the LCX Vault, for example, there will be a fee these institutions and clients have to pay in order for LCX to keep custody of them, of their assets for them, obviously. And of course, that service is accepting payments in LCX tokens, along with having each wallet required to hold 10,000 LCX tokens to be able to use those pro features from their terminal. And of course, enterprises and institutions using it as a payment to tokenize their securities and to offer them as security tokens on their platform, or just other crypto projects wanting to list on their main exchange, paying in LCX tokens. And pricing Oracle with Chainlink, where LCX can be a price service provider registered by the Financial Markets Authority. So you know their price feeds are dead on, along with these institutions wanting to tokenize assets that are all taken care of on the back end by LCX. Then a lot of the retail are going to want demand from the LCX token for things like connecting multiple exchanges and setting limit and smart orders on Uniswap and all those other pro features, or just get special early access to security tokens, or, you know, just get your general 50% off your trading fees trading with our exchange token. So yes, there's demand from both institutions and retail to buy and hold the LCX token. And it's likely that as the LCX ecosystem continues to grow, that there will be more and more demand as for a bunch of different things, whether that be more users coming in wanting to connect multiple exchanges, or to use the pro functions, or just to access these security token offerings. So there's a total of 950 million LCX tokens at the moment, but it was initially up at 1 billion during the token generation, but they have done 5 burns and now are down to 950 million. About 550 million LCX circulating out there. There's about 58% of the total supply in circulation. And the team has a company reserve of 100 million LCX tokens that are locked in a smart contract until June 2023. And then the tokens are vested over a 36-month period. So not the most amazing tokenomics at the moment, but in the future, there are talks of LCX staking that supposedly are coming this year. So that'll definitely drive demand up and have holders incentivized to lock up LCX tokens. And something tells me that when we're staking LCX tokens, it's going to be more than just getting LCX tokens back in return. Maybe some allocations to security tokens or tokenized NFTs. All right, and to wrap it up, I really like the vision LCX has and what they've got planned. It's definitely going to take some time for it all to fully come to fruition, but given all these connections in their team to different industries around the world, I'm really not too worried and I'm okay with waiting. They've built up the legal framework to properly tokenize assets onto a blockchain, and it's blockchain agnostic. I mean, that in itself is already pretty fucking massive. And not to mention how they've built the foundation of their exchange, connecting with all these other projects out there. And let's not forget the fact that LCX alongside Monty are both working real closely with the World Economic Forum. And of course, that mystery advisor possibly being Brian Armstrong, which of course I'll be covering a lot more of in the deep dive. But I mean, could you imagine if that was true and eventually went public? And beyond all these connections and the infrastructures that they've built, they've got some pretty solid things just going on their exchange and the products there with their smart and limit orders on DeFi, along with the terminal that'll make life infinitely easier for these institutions, along with their crazy secure blast-proof vault to keep those funds secure, and the quantitative market making they've got coming out that'll boost the incentives to use LCX even more. I'm really looking forward to see where LCX continues to move from here. I really think that once regulations kick in, this will be one of those projects that kind of just flip the switch. But yeah, that's about it for our LCX breakdown today. I hope everyone got something good out of it, whatever it may be. And if you guys liked what you saw today, remember to hit that like and subscribe and turn that ringer on so you don't miss a thing. And also don't forget to check me out on some of my other content platforms. You guys can always reach out and connect with me through my Twitter, Telegram, and Instagram, or just catch more fundamental analysis content just like this on my Medium and Spotify. All this can be found at Tokenicer, and I'll have the links plugged in down below in the description. But yeah, until next time, guys, and as always, remember to stay safe and keep grinding. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.